just as she was about to hurriedly and nervously close his computer down without leaving a single trace behind. A crystal clear and unmistakable voice, echoing from deep within, clearly told her to check his history tab. It was then that she knew something so dreadful, beyond anything she could ever imagine, would forever be uncovered, like the shocking and haunting visage of a skeleton unexpectedly dangling and disintegrating in a wardrobe flanked by the most beautiful gowns. Once she clicked the history tab, her prayers had finally been dreadfully and irreverently answered, ripping and tearing against every fiber of her being and contradicting every wish of her will. She had finally been granted a complete view into the mind of her husband, like a hopeless and fleeing victim, unable to outrun a terrifying and threatening dark specter, and unable to awaken from a horrifying nightmare. She could see exactly what it was which had been stealing him away from her, exactly where he had gone to, and the unfathomable depths to which the man she had known and loved so well had sunk and drowned in a pit of mud. And just in the last 72 hours of unswept history alone, her soulmate, the love of her life, and the father of her children had been watching graphic arousal imagery of every conceivable nature, even of children. She was crushed by the traumatic and unforgiving impact. Like a tender and innocent doe who had been fatefully snagged and snared by the exhausting and debilitating clasp of the thick grasses closing in around her normally agile and energetic legs, and whose pure and innocent eyes had become weary, glazed over, and frozen with the fear and terror of an intimidating predator mercilessly tracking, trailing, and fast approaching. Joanne felt her entire world, her familiar universe, and everything within her heart she had come to know, trust, and believe in, slip from her firm grasp and faithful prayer. She could feel her blood siphoning, drawing and draining from her head and heart as she threw her arms open to the heavens and unlocked the last remaining gate to her heart, while the merciless and ravenous gnashing teeth and the sarcastic, sadistic laugh of the encircling hyenas began to tear and shred her apart alive, as she hopelessly and haplessly prayed for a quicker and easier way to go. She never actually believed that the sleek, sultry, and harmless-looking leopard of the forest would actually bite and rip into her own face like all the other prey and prisoners of the plains. That was supposed to be the plight of others, not the bitter fate of her own life. Like the unsuspecting free flight of a beautiful and rising butterfly, which suddenly finds herself hopelessly entangled in a premeditated and elaborate web spun by the nimble legs of the patient and predatory black widow. She felt utterly overwhelmed, trapped and paralyzed by the deceptive and complicated strands intricately, deceitfully, and systematically woven by her husband. She lay ensnared and petrified in terror as all the elaborate strands of lies he had spun behind her back flashed through her mind. The man she had fallen in love with, she did not know anymore. She was now disgusted, revolted, and repelled by the very thought, sight, and smell of him. In a moment of utter horror, sheer terror, and amidst her worst imaginable nightmare, she suddenly realized she had been his prey, and he the predator. Only she never imagined it would be her, of all people, his most trusting and utterly dependent love of his life, who would be mercilessly consumed alive. As she prayed to be freed from the barbed snags and sticky webs she had suddenly found herself caught within, she realized that even if somehow she could unbind and shake herself free of the cruel bonds which had imprisoned the free flow of her joy, love, and trust, her life would never be the same again. She had never imagined the beasts of the wild would come to feast and gorge upon her elegant face and graceful frame. No loving pleas of grace forgiveness and mercy could thwart the cruel intentions of the beasts lurking in the cold darkness of the night. In Joanne's mind, she could see no difference between the graphic arousal images her husband was ecstatically pleasuring himself to day after day versus a physical affair with a real woman. In fact, this was far worse in her mind, and the most grievous and heinous of any imaginable acts she could have ever conjured up within her mind, because of the endless range of other novel women and children her husband was imagining he was undressing with his eyes, deeply immersing and merging with, and intimately engaging himself in with the full unbridled mating drive of his body, mind, energy, and essence. Joanne was absolutely disgusted to the point of utter revulsion. She was slipping in and out of consciousness as her listless body was tossed about like an empty bottle upon the massive, overbearing swells of a windswept and turbulent sea. She was rising up to the healing hands of God above, with an entire legion of healing angels desperately and urgently spreading their loving and protective wings around her heart, before falling all the way back down to the merciless pits of hell below, with an entire legion of hungry and haunting ghosts siphoning and sucking the drops of blood leaking from her shattered heart like fallen vampires and a mob of ravenous zombies. She could not clear the images of the videos he was engaging in out of her head. She obsessively, compulsively, and agonizingly cycled the graphic images through her head of each different sickening scenario and novel woman he had engaged with virtually, ceaselessly wondering if he actually preferred the traits of the other women over her. Did he prefer someone more exotic, more petite, or with more prominent and alluring features than her? All the faults and traits she had poked and prodded herself with every time she looked in the mirror since she was a little girl came breaching and crashing to the surface, displaced by the entire weight of her self-image falling and drowning in the depths of the vast empty ocean. Like a never-ending horror movie, she was forced to watch and endure. The scenes dragged on for what seemed like days, weeks, and an entire lifetime of agonizing and torturous replays within her head. Her tears delicately traced the contorted trails of her grief, loss, pain, and terror, like rivulets of pure and fragrant water cascading down the long, forlorn cracks and caverns of a smooth granite cliff. Joanne undulated and weaved in and out of consciousness, trapped in a hellish realm of purgatory between the old world, which had become a fleeting fantasy, and this terrifying new world, which had become her new nightmare reality. How could she ever begin to imagine picking up the millions of little broken pieces after all of this? Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to catch the next video.